Hey, whoever in the chat or in the bushes, good morning. Good morning. I hope whoever been following along is finding us, seeing the community board or whatever, whatnot. Almost famous. The link is in the chat, and I sent it to your phone too.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
Let's see. I'm gonna share it on this community wall too. That way, people could kind of find us.
Uh-huh.
I guess I should have had freshened up my little cup of Joe too. I
Go
was slipping.
give it a couple moments.
Huh?
Give it a couple moments. Go ahead and freshen it up.
Okay, let me switch accounts so I can share this on here too, though. Mm, yeah, I ain't been over here in a minute, so it's a little rusty working this stuff.
Yeah, I see some cobwebs in the corner. Need to get to that. Ain't been in this building in a while. Same street though.
Let's see.
Same boulevard though.
I for real don't know how to work this. Okay, wait.
I see your throne. Yeah.
Okay, I figured out how to post it. So if anybody is over here that ain't been tapping in with us, we into this book Bling by Erica Kennedy. We doing chapter 36 through 40. And a little recap on this book. And the author, Erica Kennedy, was good friends of Kim Porter and Kimora Lee Simmons. They was best friends, in fact, from everything we coming across. And she also used to work for Diddy. And so she wrote this book and another book. There's a few recordings out there of her saying that, she could have intertwined some characters. She could have wrote about some Diddy party, just a lot of different speculation and different stuff out there about this book. The book was written in '04. The publishing place mysteriously closed down. She mysteriously passed away allegedly. And anything else you really want to add on that stuff? Almost famous?
Um yeah, she mysteriously passed away. She was in Kimora Lee Simmons' wedding and her and Kim Porter. And the publishing company is closed. The publishing company that actually published this book is closed. It's hard to find. Whatever copies are out are the only copies that are produced or gonna be produced. And so like people are trying to find them. I happened to find the last copy that was available online, and that's how I ended up with it. And that's one of the reasons why we're sharing it with you, because it seems like people are trying to suppress this girl's First Amendment right. And
And
she
this book
wrote.
is being summarized.
Yeah.
So she summoned some of this stuff up or most of it up because we don't want to be saying it exactly like word from word, and this is her first time reading it as well. But yeah, y'all will see, especially if you've been following along, then certain stuff is being mentioned, and there's a lot of big coincidences and stuff too in this story
And
so
a lot of
far.
artists being referred to throughout the book. Like that one particular artist who she said this was about is referred throughout the book by name, like specifically by name. Like he come in the scene, like they. She's trying to make it very obvious, but not so obvious. You know.
Right.
Yeah.
But everything is, wrote in fiction, and everything as far as the characters, when we come back and recap and pull different stuff up, it's gonna all be assumptions. Good morning, blessed and unbothered.
Hey, good morning.
She
Yeah,
said you can
she
tell
said
she
you
is
could.
not reading it word for word and skipping certain parts. Yep, yep, just to
Yeah,
be on the safe side.
yeah, yeah. Yeah. And I'm gonna read her little disclosure again that says this book is a work of fiction and he names characters, places, or incidents of people either alive or dead, or any images is just coincidental, is what she said. So there's no defamation or anything going on over here. It's just, you know, just reading through it.
Okay, I'm gonna take this quick time to go freshen up my coffee real
Okay.
fast.
Okay. You want me to start? Or you want me to wait a few more minutes or something? But yeah, I paraphrase a lot of it. This is my first time reading it, so sometimes I'm like, wait, what they say? Wait, how is that supposed to be said? Because usually, like when I read kids' books or read the classes or anything like that, like I proofread, I pre-read the stuff. But this book is 500 and some pages long, and
We
thank
almost through. We gonna be having like 15 chapters left or something like that
you
after that.
have
But
many
you
more.
could go ahead and start because I got the volume up. I could hear you. I'm gonna press mute and just start listening.
Okay,
But I'm here.
okay, and we are in book three, and I mean disc three, and we are in chapter 36. It's called "Like My Style." So what's the deal with Gemini? He's all booked up for the next months, which he says, sitting on the sofa in Lamont's office, and we can't even get him. Anyone can be got, Lamont said, with the manicurist working on each of his hands and a barber working on his hair named Wilson. Wilson was a distinguished looking man that was shaping up his hair. Gemini was in demand, and he was the producer of the moment. He was only 25, but he scored big hits for artists in every genre, including grimy, Britney Spears, Limp Bizkit, Shakira, Diddy, Busta Rhymes, and so on. He had an innovative sound and a rep as a true eccentric. He was borderline reclusive, and he stayed holed up in his home studio in Gainesville, Georgia, 60 miles north of Atlanta, and he worked nonstop. Word was that he showered less than he slept. He had 10,000 square foot house on about three acres of lakefront property. He had a studio basement that was state of the art, but the house looked like a garage, run down, and it looked kind of cabinish. It was known as the Funk Shack. Lamont wanted Gemini to do a few things on Mimi's album. The album was almost done, but he wanted guaranteed hits on it. Gemini could guarantee them. I went to the Funk Shack once with this artist when I was working on another label, which he said at Triple Large. At Triple Large, one didn't mention other record labels' names unless it was negative sense or the purpose of corporate espionage. It was like working at Coke and finally reminiscing about your days at Pepsi. It just wasn't done, especially not in front of Lamont. And Gemini had this stripper staying there. Yeah, Lamont said, almost interested in the story. So I figured he was having sex with her. Was he? Was she hot? Lamont said, perfectly comfortable having this conversation in the presence of a 62-year-old Wilson and three Asian women he barely knew. Four alarm blazed, which he gushed. Asked for days, and she was it. He cupped his hand as if he was grabbing her butt. Pow. Lamont laughed. So did Wilson. So I assume she's Jim's girl, right? Right, Lamont said. And I'm there. She's there. We talk a few times in passing, and she's real nice. She said she wasn't dancing anymore, and I'm thinking, good for her. She looked up with Gemini. She hooked up with Gemini and got out of the business. Get to the point, Lamont said. And which he said incredulously, I found out Jim wasn't even hitting that. Almost offended, Lamont snapped. Why not? I don't know what he said. He said he met her through one of his boys. He was trying to help her out. She had nowhere to live, so she was just staying with him. She wanted to be a singer or something. Please tell me that you slid in there, Lamont said. No doubt, which he confirmed quickly. I told her I was gonna get her a deal, and she was all about that. She still calls me every once in a while. After a moment's consideration, Lamont speculated, maybe he don't like women. Jim, which he shook his head. I doubt it. Just a weirdo. That's what Grammy used to say. He said Jim had to light all these scented candles in the studio before they would work. But I heard the songs they did, and then Jim had the charts unlocked. And I was like, I don't care if that dude wants to pour hot wax all over himself and sit in your lap in his funky little studio, butt naked. You let him do his thing. Witchy chuckled while squirming inwardly at the image. I called him twice already about working with Mimi. He said he's doing two projects now and he's got two more lined up right after. Well, offer him double the money, Lamont instructed. Daryl walked in the room. Offer who double the fee? Lamont instructed Lamont asked Daryl asked. Offer who double the fee? A petite woman rose from behind Lamont's desk, and for a second, Daryl thought she was doing something to him. All done, she said. Great, boo, Lamont said as he looked at his feet. She just given him a paraffin wax and applied clear polish. Wilson got out a pair of tiny little clippers. Gemini, Lamont answered at the nail patrol as the nail patrol packed up and left. Gemini ain't worth double his fee, Daryl scoffed. I think he is, Lamont said. We need guaranteed hits for Mimi. Daryl had produced 6 of her songs. Insulted again. What about the R? Lamont huffed. Who? Kelly? Hello, am I still on here? Okay, I'm still on here. He said, what about the R?
She's saying it's almost robot. Oh, and feels like chatting with the homies. Okay.
You said what?
Oh no, you sound good. Okay.
Okay, okay. He said Gemini ain't worth double his fee. I think he is, Lamont counter. We can guarantee his for Mimi. What about R? Daryl asked. Lamont huffed. Kelly? Yeah, Daryl said. He's a guaranteed hit maker. He walked over to Lamont's sound system, and he works well with young girls. With this back to Lamont, Daryl smiled. Why don't you send your little princess to hang out with him? Maybe she'll let him piss all over her little titties. Lamont leaned his head back for Wilson. He knew exactly what Daryl was getting at, but
What?
he would not dignify the comment with a response. You heard me? That's nasty. Daryl inserted the CD. Daryl inserted the CD he was carrying into the player. This is the Baby's Love remix, he said. This is the Baby Love remix. It's just the first mix. Baby Love was going to be Mimi's first single. The remix featuring Floss would be a bonus track on the album. Lamont listened as Wilson clipped his nose hairs. The rap verse came in, and Wilson almost cut him as Lamont jerked his head up. Who is that? That's not Floss, which he said. Someone new, Daryl said. I found him. Just listen. This kid can spit. The song ended, and Daryl said, what do you think? It's pretty good, Lamont admitted, and Witchy nodded in agreement. But it's not Floss. But this cat is hot, Daryl said. I listened to his demo. It's real good. I think we should sign him. Really? Lamont asked. That's not a decision for you to make, Daryl. Who is it? Daryl stood as tall as he could and said, That's me. No, it's not, which he said. The song did sound pretty good. It didn't sound like Daryl's voice at all. Daryl was always talking in a high pitched rush of words that tripped all over himself. The rapper's flow was slow, almost like he was drugged, and the voice was deep. Somehow it sounded just right. Daryl played it again while Lamont and Witchy listened more intently. Since when have you wanted to be a rapper? Lamont asked, refusing to comment further on the song. He'd already admitted it was pretty good, and now he felt Daryl had tricked him into doing that. Wilson was all done cutting Lamont's nose hair, but he lingered to watch the scene unfold. In the 3 years he'd been coming to shape up Mr. Jackson, he'd seen Daryl catch a lot of heat. All my life, Daryl said, his chest puffed out. Richie looked at Lamont to see how he'd respond, which he considered Daryl a pain in the ass, as was the general consensus. But he was turning into a great producer. So you recorded the demo? Lamont asked. Yeah, Daryl said, all smiles. Well, whose money? My, my, my own, Daryl stuttered. Just a few songs. Well, hit us off with it, Daryl Lamont asked him. Wilson removed the smock from around Lamont's neck and dusted away the stray hairs. Daryl whipped another CD out of the Fat Farm denim jacket. Got it right here. Now look, Lamont said, I have another appointment. Not right now. That took the wind out of Daryl's sail. So what about the remix? He said, still hopeful. Nah, Lamont sniffed. He was the boss here. He had not sanctioned the recording of this remix, and everything had to go through him first. Daryl knew that. Everything. If Daryl had gone through the proper channels and got to get signed like any other artist, maybe would have given him a shot. But Daryl thought he was above the corporate rules and above everything. So he had to go get back in line and wait his turn. We need Floss. We need a guaranteed hit, Lamont said. Floss is a name. You're not. Lamont stuck out his beautiful toes and looked at them. As he dismissed Daryl from his office, get on that, will you? Chapter 37, Big Papa. Now she knew why Lamont was so eager to have her move in. Every morning they had a quickie. Every morning. But since their very first time, Lamont was never that quick. He'd slip him down and poke her from behind. My sweet baby, he moaned, while fondling her new titties and covering her neck and shoulder blades with his wet kisses. She never even opened her eyes. Her closing line, Daddy, Daddy, I love you. He enjoyed it more for the closeness than the sexual stimulation. And Lamont wasn't packing a 5-inch executive model either. Most like the 8-inch CEO double wide. But sometimes she was tired and she wished he'd finished and head off to work so she could go back to sleep. Learned a breathless squeal of Daddy, Daddy, I love you. Always knew and did the trick. He grunt squirt and released her with a satisfied sigh. At first she thought that Daddy was funny. He'd say things like, don't worry, Daddy will take care of it. Or they were going out and she dressed extra cute and he'd say, oh, Missy, I look at Daddy's little girl. Then one night he whispered, tell Daddy you love him. She just moaned, but he wouldn't let it go. Tell Daddy you love him, he ordered. So she did, and he was done. Then he kissed her and said in a husky voice, Daddy loves his baby more. Hey, if that was what it took, she'd do it. Lamont did everything and anything could to make her life blissfully happy. It was the least she could do in return, and that's what she told herself because it made her uncomfortable to believe it satisfied some deep need in her too. She kept telling herself, that's Lamont's thing. It's his thing. But then she started getting crazy with it. But then he started getting crazy with it. One night he presented her with the big, beautifully gift wrapped box. He was always giving her presents. And now she made sure they weren't recoupable. The gift was a Catholic schoolgirl's outfit. Plaid mini skirt, saddle shoes, bobby socks, the whole shebang. He put on Britney Spears' "Baby One More Time" and then made her dance to it. She was really getting into it before he finished. Before she finished, he ripped the little white shirt off and popped the buttons and ravished her. Lots of daddy talk that night. Afterwards, she said, you actually own a Britney Spears CD?" "No," he said. "Imani thought it would be a nice touch. She got the whole outfit and everything. like it was perfectly all right that Imani knew. At first, she didn't want to tell anyone that she was sleeping with the boss. She felt like it was wrong, and somehow that excited the hell out of her. 3 weeks into their escapades, she blurted out to Jordan over dinner. Jordan had said in a disapproving tone, "Oh, really? Be careful with that one, honey," and changed the subject. After that, she didn't want to say but them anything. But then Vanessa told her, "You sleeping with Lamont?" Alonzo had spilled the beans. Lena almost drew, had said, "Tell us everything." Hanging out with Vanessa and Lena was like being in the boys' locker, only with very well groomed girls. Vanessa would go on and on about her vagina, and sometimes she have faint marks around her wrist from where Alonzo had tied her up. Then that would get Lena started on how she had to find a dude like Alonzo to give her a mad gangster sex. Sometimes it could be too much. And there was only talk about their own sexual provocativeness that they were so into. They were all up in everyone else's business too. Lamont especially. All the time when they went out, Lena and Vanessa would smile and small talk with some woman, and then as soon as the chick's back was turned, the catty remarks would come out. "That's just some bitch Lamont used to fuck," Lena would say often. The first time it happened, Mimi had said, "She's Lamont's ex-girlfriend." Lena had repeated, "No, I said that's just some bitch Lamont used to fuck." The women in question were usually white, which prompted Lena to muse, "It's weird though, because Lamont dates only black women publicly, or should we say women of color? Because some of these chicks are brown, but you can't tell where they're from. But almost all the women he fucks around with on the low are white, blondes usually, blondes with big breasts. So does that mean he respects black women so much that he just won't have sex with them and dismiss them like he does the white hoes? Or does he really want to be with a white woman, but because he's Mr. Hip Hop, he's afraid it will ruin his street cred?" Mimi, Vanessa, and Lena had sat quietly for a moment, pondering that one. Hmm. Then Vanessa had chirped, "But with you, Mimi, I guess he got both." Mimi touched her highlighted hair, glanced down at her tight new cleavage, and thought, "More like all four: black, white, blonde, and big boobs." Sometimes they all be out with Lamont, and every time he spoke to a woman, Mimi wondered if that one was one that he used to have sex with. She give Lena a look, and Lena would subtly nod yes, or shake her head no. Then later, Mimi would ask him how he knew the woman. He invariably say from around. Now that she was with Lamont, she didn't like that his personal affairs were so openly discussed. He was her man, and she was in love with him. Shouldn't she have some kind of privacy? But Lena and Vanessa had made no shame in their games. One night, Vanessa ran into a friend, a gorgeous girl, and chatted with her for a long time. She was being very friendly, which was not Vanessa's usually way. When the gorgeous girl left, Mimi asked her, "Who is that?" Without missing a note, Vanessa said, "Just some girl who ate my once. I never gave her a call." "Oh, right," Mimi said, trying to roll with the punches. "That was before you were with Alonzo." Vanessa had looked at her like she was brain dead and said, "Alonzo was there." Lena kept drinking and made no comment. So Mimi started doling on little tidbits to Lena and Vanessa when they pressed her for info. Everyone thought she was some inexperienced small town girl. Not after being with Lamont, she wasn't. But the daddy talk she kept to herself. That was super weird. Just because Lamont was almost twice her age, Lena had once said to him, "You're on some daddy shit." Mimi had thought, "You don't know the half of it, girlfriend." But she decided to throw them a bone. She told them he was always going down on her. That got their attention. Finally, she had something to add interesting to the conversation. "Kendra told me he didn't do that," Vanessa said, shocked. "He did it only on the special occasions, like it was some kind of gift. Her birthday and Valentine's were the only time she ever got any kind of action like that. But I bet she had to do something to him every night," Lena remarked. Mimi told them that the trick she picked up at the blowjob class was making Lamont a very happy man. It taken a while to get up the courage to go there, but once she did, was very impressed, too impressed. I thought you only been with two guys, he said, and he bristled that included that asshole Floyd. She didn't think that he should have counted. I have, she said. Then how do you know how to do that? You're almost too good. She felt complimented and insulted at the same time. He was implying that she was some kind of a professional, and so she admitted that she'd gone to the class with Lena. That's the sweetest thing anyone has ever done for me, he said. It would have broken his heart if he'd known that she'd gone in LA after meeting Ray Sean. The next day, he bought her a beautiful diamond tennis bracelet. Was that all it took? After that, she was like, whip it out, Big Daddy. But there was no more gifts, at least not for that. So there was no more swallowing like she'd done the first time. If he wasn't going to go all the way either, neither was she. But the girls couldn't get over the fact that he was giving her so much attention. She informed them that post Kendra things had done changed. Lamont Lamont went down on her with ferocity and a feminine as if he was so hungry with the steaming bowl of rice. On the counters of all three bathrooms in the apartment, too, kitchen and in the new drop top coupe with the top dropped, pulled over on the side of Long Island Expressway late one night, coming back from the Hamptons. On the Chase Lounge on the deck in the penthouse, in the bathroom at the Hit Factory, in the first class bathroom on the flight to Miami, anywhere, anytime, she told the girls. They were impressed beyond belief, begging for it. Who am I to deny him? Is that why he looks like he's lost some weight? Lena said. Because he's on that kind of a diet? They all screamed. But truth was, he hadn't lost a pound. Now that she was living with him, she'd bake cookies, brownies, cupcakes. He'd come home and set the baked goodies and wine. He'd come home and see the baked goodies and wine. What are you doing to me? He'd say, and then he inhaled the whole plate. He was getting touchy about his weight, but she didn't much care. He was her sweetie, and he knew that how to work it in bed, so it was no big deal. But his touchiness about it sometimes worked in her advantage. One night they got in a spat where they went out and spent a long time talking very cozily to Emma White, the Uber model. Some photographer even took a picture of Lamont and Emma all hugged up on each other. Mimi thought it was completely disrespectful to their relationship. They argued the entire way home. In Lamont's defense, he said, if reporters happen to think I'm with Emma, so be it. At least they won't think I'm with you. We're trying to keep our relationship out of the press, remember? Bullshit, was Mimi said. Look, if I wanted to fuck with Emma, I would, he snapped. But I don't. I'm with you, okay? So stop being so insecure. You tripping. That night, she climbed into bed stark naked with a fresh bag of his favorite Dean and DeLuca chocolate chip cookies. As soon as he reached over for some, she slapped his hand away. Don't, she said. You're starting to look like super fat E. He looked like he wanted to cry. Fuck you. Bet you like to, she said, continuing to munch all the cookies. But you ain't getting any tonight, Playboy. Then she put a wall of pillows between them so she could sleep and let him know she was serious. No cookie and no coochie. His two favorite things. He was furious. The next morning, he tried for a quickie and got a cool reception. Next thing Mimi knew, music was playing. It was "They Don't Know," a song by white singer John B. They decided that would be their song after they heard it late one night at the WBLS Quiet Storm. Lamont started singing, sounding like a cat in heat. Heard about your past, things I used to do, games I used to play, the girls that didn't last. Mimi watched him standing over at her bed, belting out his heart. Girl, let's talk about what your friends told me that I'm a selfish man, want my cake and eat it too. Maybe in your past. And how could she stay mad at him? Don't listen to what people say they don't know about. When could he when he could be this silly and romantic like that at 6 in the morning? Anyway, they had so much sex. She didn't think he'd have stamina to cheat on her. But when she gone away for a few times and to record in other cities, Vanessa kept close tabs on him, and she heard things, whisperings, just that he'd been seen hanging out with different girls. He hung out all the time, always with the group. So who knew for sure? But had such a he was such a ladies' man and had such a rep. It worried me. Whenever she confronted him about the rumors, just fishing for any signs of guilt, it was always the same drill. Who said that? He demanded heatedly. She never revealed who told her. He then tried to discredit the unidentified rumor makers by saying, "Whoever it was, they ain't your friend. You hear me? They're a fucking hater. Probably some dumb bitch who don't even have a man theyself and doesn't want you to have one either. Stop listening to them." And the conversation would end. Soon after, an expensive piece of jewelry will materialize under the pillow. Daryl wasn't helping either. He had become sillier than ever. Even though he was making a name for himself as a producer, he became a tyrant in the studio, and his head was swelling to more blink-like proportions every single day. He insisted everyone call him Country D. Most people didn't bother to comply. Certainly not Lamont. But if she called him Daryl when they were in the studio, he would not answer her. She had to repeat herself over and over, referring to him as Country D, and then his ears would start working again. One night at the studio, when she'd been trying to reach Lamont, Daryl had said, "Leave the man alone. He's probably busy with Kendra, maybe." He knew Kendra was a sore spot for her. "Lamont is in love with me," she said confidently, informing Daryl. "That's what they all think," he said. "You think he'd cheat on me?" "I don't think I know," he said. "Can't teach an old dog new tricks." "Asshole, you don't know anything," she returned. "I know I got 3 months in the office pool." "Office pool?" "Yeah, I give it 3 more months till your love spell wears off. Some folks are rolling the dice on six. Odds for a year are a real long shot." She went straight back and told Lamont what he said. "I'll handle it," he said. She didn't know what she had said. She didn't know what he had said to Daryl or the people in the office. But after that, Daryl would only growl at her, and the receptionist she got at the office became downright frosty. There was no way he'd cheat on her. No way. He was obviously in love with her. He told her it all the time, almost obsessively, and he made her tell him. Every morning after the quickie, he'd shower, dress, and come down to bed smelling of Bulgari cologne and kiss her lightly on the forehead. "Call you later, angel face," he cool. "I love you." One day he must have been preoccupied because he rushed out without the usual mushy farewell. When she heard the front door slam close, she picked up the phone and called his cell. "You forgot something." He came back up, looking tickled. "Sorry, princess," he said, while rushing over to the bed in his Armani suit and attacked her with an extra wet one. Later that day, she swung by the office around lunchtime and told him she wanted to go to a movie. He took the rest of the day off and they went together. They held hands, munched popcorn, and enjoyed a chick flick during office hours. Yes, Lamont was definitely in love with her, his princess. So let the haters be haters. Chapter 38. So fresh, so clean. Dressed to kill, Lamont walked out of the bathroom in his office. On the sofa was Jay Alvarez. She was a 26-year-old senior editor at Vibe. He was doing the feature on Lamont's for Vibe's annual Juice issue. This was their third time hanging out together. "So, did you say you graduated from City College?" Jay asked. "You majored in business?" "Yes," Lamont said. "My mother was really pushing for that. I was the first one in our family to go on to higher education, but I didn't know how much I got out of it. I don't know how much I got out of it. I was not interested. I was so interested in making my own label at the time. I feel like I learned more from experience than from education." Lamont pulled out his Gucci hood out his Gucci loafers and sat on the sofa next to Jay. He slipped them on with the shoehorn. "What I never understood about school was why the economics teacher wasn't practicing economics personally for their own welfare. How can you expect, how can you be an expert on something if you're not doing it? No disrespect to the teachers. It's an honorable profession if you're like a kindergarten teacher and if you're a woman. But there are a few subjects like business where it's like, why aren't you using that wealth of knowledge to benefit yourself? Why are you teaching it in a college instead of running your own business? They say those who can't do teach, but I can do, so I do, you know? They walked out. They were going to a boys and girls club benefit at Tavern on the Green. Imani was two steps behind, carrying a large black umbrella. In the elevator, Lamont said, "So how many pages is the story, Jay?" 3 pages of text and one full page of picture. And what is everyone else going to get? Some people are going to get 2 pages of text. Some are getting three. Who else is getting three? Damon Dash, Don Gambini. Whoa, Lamont said. Isn't it a little early in the game for Gambino to be getting 3 pages of text? Not with the numbers he putting up on the billboard. Why not four texts, one for the picture? Lamont suggested 5 pages total. For Gambino, Jay said, just to fuck with him. For me, Lamont said evenly, not giving the boy the pleasure of a reaction. No one is getting 5 pages. Are you a senior editor at Vibe? Yeah. Then you can give me 5 pages total. No one is getting five. Am I going to have to speak to someone? Lamont asked. The someone being the editor in chief of Vibe that he will call, of course, but keeping the threat vague so as it never came up in the future, he could deny it. Speak to whoever you want to, Jay said as the elevator doors opened, but no one is getting 5 pages. Fine, Lamont said as he walked through the lobby. When they got to the door, Imani opened the umbrella and ran out in the steady rain to the waiting Maybach and opened the door. Lamont stood in the in the hot lobby, humming to himself. Imani came back and walked them to the car, holding the extra large umbrella over them for cover, slammed the car door, and went back into the building. Running a label is nothing more than a hustle, Lamont said. The drive to win, surrounding yourself with the best people, the best talent, people who want to be as bad as you, and putting your all into it. I have a lot of integrity, soul, and I love for what I do. I think people pick up on that. I think authenticity is a big thing. So, what do you do for fun? Jay asks. What do you do when you want to relax? Relax? Lamont asked back, as if he weren't familiar with the word. He picked up the white envelope that Imani had placed on the back seat. He fiddled with it for a second, then slipped out the card. He squinted at it. He squinted at it, pulling it very close to his eyes and then holding it at arm's length in front of him. Seconds later, he was seemingly talking up into the air, but after hanging out with him several times, Jay knew he was talking into his cell phone piece that was dangling from his ear. What font is this? Lamont boomed. 12. Jesus, Imani, are you kidding me? You know how I need 14. He huffed loudly, then said, Yes, please do. Jay tried to read the words that were printed on the heavy stock card. I have to give a little speech tonight, Lamont said, picking it up. Just an introduction, really. My eyes are getting really bad, you know. Right, Jay said. I have a hard time relaxing, Lamont continued, getting back on track. My mind is always going. I get a massage twice a week. Olga. She has magic fingers. I have to schedule that time to wind down. But you go out a lot. You're very social. You vacation. You do the St. Bart's thing. Yeah, Lamont said. But even in St. Bart's, you hang out with people you work with. You talk shop. That is fun for me. My fun is all business based. And you hang out with a lot of beautiful women, Jay said. That must be fun. Chasing beautiful black women feels like work, Lamont said. He smiled. Isn't that right, Carlos? A man of few words, Carlos came back with the standard reply. You right. I wanted you to come to this benefit, Jay, because I'm concerned that you're not getting my human side. Your human side? Jay responded. It's crucial that you get that. Make sure you talk to my mother. Lamont gave Jay his mother's numbers. I don't want any arrogance in this piece, Lamont continued. That's crucial. I've been coming to the Boys and Girls Club benefit for 4 years. Lamont put his hand on Jay's shoulder and leaned in to make a crucial point. But this year, I decided to get more involved. So for the past month, I've been raising money for this event. I raised 200,000. I got on the phone and shook motherfuckers down. You understand? Because our children are important. That is my human side. Right, Jay said, folding his tape recorder. I already spoke to most of your artists for secondaries. What they say? Ridiculous's secondary quote about Lamont. He's up early, always drinking about the next 2 or 3 moves down the line. Always thinking about 2 or 3 moves down the line. He's a savage about staying on top. You gotta respect that. He's got a lot of haters in this industry, but he shrugs it off and keeps it moving. Floss's secondary quote about Lamont: when I first started out, he would tell me, "You don't see what I see, because I'm a regular nigga from the streets, so you know how it is. You're just you're just living your life and doing you." But he'd be like, "You don't even see who you are." He really shows you there's a bigger place you can take yourself in the world with class and all that shit. Because Lamont is a really classy nigga. Check out his suits, and he taught me how to be one too. Grimey's secondary quote about Lamont was, "When I first got on, I had all these whack ass dudes around me. They all wanted deals, wanted to ride on my coattails. Big man saw they wasn't about nothing. And when I was fucked up, he get at me on this real like, these ninjas don't give two fucks about you, Grimes. You ain't on the corner no more, kid. This shit is major. You out here. You got a big heart, showing these ninjas love, and they don't give a fuck. They're using you and spitting you out. Fuck that ninja. Go get yours. These ninjas are gonna was making my whole situation cloudy, you know. But after that, it was like I felt the sun on my back for the first time. They all said great things, Jay reported. He was still waiting to hear back from someone, but I will need to get Mimi. You must speak to Verna De Luca, Lamont said, naming the advertising guru. I have a partnership with him. We work on positioning artists, reaching the urban markets. It's crucial that you speak to Verne. And Irv Green, definitely. He's like a second father to me. That one's really crucial. What about your real father? Jay suggested. No, Lamont said, and continued with this list. Puff, L.A., Andre Harrell, Tommy Mottola, Russell, all crucial. Get direct numbers from Imani, and I'll make the calls to let them know you're going to holler at them. Still looking directly at Jay, he chirped, "Hey, princess." And with that greeting, Jay knew immediately that he was on yet another phone call. "On my way," said Lamont, using a voice that Jay had not yet encountered. "There's traffic, though, and you're wearing a pretty dress. Are you wearing a pretty dress?" "See, okay, see you soon. Me too." "Who was that?" Jay said. "A friend," Lamont said. "Your girlfriend?" "No." Jay sighed. "Come on, Lamont." Lamont was turning out to be one of his most difficult interviews. He was trying to orchestrate everything. Was waiting for Lamont to offer to write the piece himself. Lamont looked over, irritated. "I get a phone call. I have to take it. What do I have to do? Ask you to stick your head out the window so I could take a phone call?" Jay sighed. "But that is a human side. You're personal." Who I'm fucking is not a human side. It's gossip. You work for Vibe, Jay, and not the National Enquirer. So that was someone your Lamont gave him a challenging stare that said, "Go on, son." "Someone you're, you know, dating." Lamont loudly cleared his throat and looked out the window. Jay tried another tack. "So are you seeing anyone currently?" "What have you heard?" "I heard you were dating Mimi. I actually read that in the paper." "Those are just rumors," Lamont said. "Falsehoods. I'm not even her type. I think she was dating that kid Trey from Chi Town." "Really?" Jay said, unconvinced. He hadn't heard a peep about that, but he had heard plenty about her dating Lamont. "I think she dumped him." "Not her type either, I guess," Jay said. Guess not, Lamont replied. Did you hear what she said about me to Wendy Williams on the Wendy Williams show? No, what she say? Asked Jay. Wendy asked her about the rumors that we were dating, and she denied them by saying, I'm looking for a man who's young, fine, and in shape. Jay cracked up. Lamont snapped, what's so funny? Dad. She didn't have to diss me like that, or I yelled at her for that. Told her she was a bad girl. There are plenty of fine women who love to get this fat ninja like myself. Carlos, can I have get a witness? Involuntarily, Carlos said, you right. So that's something that bothers you then, Jay said. Being fat? Excuse me, Lamont said. Are you calling me fat? You just called yourself fat. I was being descriptive and not derogatory, Lamont replied. So was I, Jay snapped. But that's something you struggle with, your weight. Lamont grabbed Jay's tape recorder and turned it off. Off the record, yes. They spent a long time listening to nothing but raindrops pounding in the car. But Jay had perfected the art of waiting out a very pregnant pause. If you could resist the urge to fill the silence long enough, subjects would usually rush in with the vital piece of information they were on the fence about divulging. It was always the money quote. I look in the mirror, Lamont continued hesitantly, and I see a man nearly 40 with his top going gray and his middle going soft. And that upsets me deeply. I don't know why, really, but that is the reality of the situation. I exercise and I try to eat healthy, but it's difficult. And you ask me how I relax. Truth is, when I'm stressed, I eat. And when I'm happy, I eat. And when I'm bored, I eat. He sighed. A lot of sweets, it calms me. I have a wicked sweet tooth. Sweet tooth. That's the boy in me. It might be a biochemical thing. He handed the tape recorder back. But Lamont, why does that have to be off the record? You said you wanted this piece to show your human side. That's it. You're very successful in business and with the ladies, but you still care about your weight. I think that's an interesting tidbit. It says a lot about you. It humanizes you. It makes you sound vain. It makes me sound vain, Lamont said. I am not vain. I just care about my appearance as any man with any self-respect should do. It's off the record. Okay, Jay said, but I need Mimi for a secondary quote. I haven't been able to get in contact with her. She'll be here tonight, Lamont said. You can talk to her then. The Maybach pulled up to Tavern on the Green. Dressed in a gorgeous Narisco Rodriguez dress, Mimi was outside under the awning. Alice rushed over to the building holding a large black umbrella in one hand and Lamont's speech, printed in 14-point font. In the other, Imani had emailed it to someone at the restaurant and instructed them to give it to Alice. Jay and Lamont got out. Hey, princess, Lamont chirped and kissed Mimi on the cheek. This is my boy Jay from The Vibe, the one who's doing the huge 5-page feature on me for the Juice issue. Mimi shook Jay's hand. It's nice to meet you. I was just telling Lamont that I wanted to get a quote from you for the piece. She took one look at Jay's rumpled brown suit, the sweat glistening on his forehead, and realized Lamont had shook him down. Then you can sit next to me, she said, playfully looking back at Lamont. I'll give you all the dirt. Lamont smiled, shot his cuffs, and followed. Chapter 39, Moment of Clarity. You ever thought about fixing this place up? Mimi asked Jim as they walked down into the dock on the lakefront property. I like this place, she said, the way it is. Jim and I Jim and I was making his way through the trees with a paper plate of barbecue in his hand. Mimi followed him down to the Lake Lanier and her new dog, Vezelle, nipping at her heels. The black Pomeranian had been Lamont's latest, that's just a rumor, prize that he had bought for her. I don't even know that girl. Lamont was probably glad that they'd be away for a few days because Bezel needed housebreaking and Lamont's workout area had become the pup's favorite dumping ground. Mimi, Alonzo, and Bezo had arrived at the funk shack this morning. A pale, scraggly looking guy had opened the door, and Mimi thought he was he was the backwoods version of a manservant. But Alonzo had greeted the man with, "What up, Jim?" Checking out his lumpy afro, the nappy tuft of his hair on his chin, and his bony shoulders jutting out of his white tank top, Mimi thought, "This is Gemini, the hat hard to get producer." "Do you know that toilet upstairs is broken?" Mimi said as they neared the lake. "There are four other bathrooms," Gemini pointed out, "and they're all dirty." She and Alonzo were staying at the house in which Jim's considerable all male posse roamed free. There were bedrooms enough for everyone, but housekeeping was apparently not high on the boys' list. None of the sheets matched, and they felt itchy to the touch. The towels were faded and frayed, and the bathrooms looked like they were crawling with bacteria. "Sorry, princess," Gemini said in a dry tone that didn't sound apologetic at all. "I know you're used to the penthouse, first class, and all that." "How would you know anything about my life?" she said, sitting back in the dock. "I heard you never leave this place." "Everyone comes to me," he said, "but I hear things and I have a DSL hookup. I check everything online. The New York papers, Hollywood trades." "The papers?" she teased. "You mean the gossip columns?" He, his initial walk on in Travis Peters' column had turned into a recurring role. Since she had three songs out already, collabos, and the songs and videos had all done extremely well, she was getting some serious attention. Her solo album had not come out yet. The TLE publicity machine was gearing up in a big way to release that. The label had decided that she'd be known professionally as just Mimi with no last name. If asked in interviews, she would say her full name was Mimi Jean. Lamont said Castelloni was too ethnic. It sounded like a brand of pasta. Apparently, it was the wrong kind of ethnic because they were playing up her Haitian heritage big time, and they were pushing the triple largest first princess angle. That was how Travis Peters always referred to her in his column, Mimi, triple large first princess. At first, she thought the tag was cute, but now it just sounded pretentious. Usually, she was mentioned for being somewhere in the company Alina, Vanessa, or Lamont. They all were featured players in the gossip universe. Recently, sightings have been reported of her and Lamont canoodling all over town. She didn't even know what that word meant. She didn't even know it was a word at all. Ali C quoted Ali C quoted as her spokesperson had denied every last one of the reports. "They're just friends," she would swear, even though it had been spotted out that Nobu and Curb and Swirl. Lamont told her people couldn't know they were dating because it was bad for the sexy young single woman's image. One day, Ali C asked Mimi to meet her at the Silvanano for lunch. When Mimi showed up, Ali C wasn't there, but Trey, the singer Lena was dating, was. Ali C, who was Trey's flack, called and said she couldn't make it, so they had lunch together. When the meal was over, they hugged and they gone their separate ways. The following week, there was an item in the sighting section of us. Trey Elfman, 23, seen dining a doe with hot new R&B songbird Mimi Jean, 21, at the Silvano in New York. Needless to say, Lena was fit to be tied. Mimi had to get Ali C to confirm that nothing was going on. Still, Lena wasn't entirely convinced, and she kept making snide jokes about Mimi being after her man. Lamont was mad because it had gotten out that she was really 21, not 19. "Don't believe everything you read," told Jim. "Alonzo told me that you live with Lamont," Jim said, scratching his armpit. "Pretty reliable source." "I guess so," she said. "We're a couple, if you must know." "You're 21?" "Yes," she said, watching for Bezel as she roamed around the woods nearby. "And Lamont's what, 41?" "39," she exclaimed, as if 2 years made a difference at all. "Sorry, princess. How old are you?" Mimi asked. And would you stop calling me princess? That's what they call you in the papers. I know, Mimi said, but I don't like it. Sorry, he said, and I'm 25. How'd you become a super producer by 25? He said, started young and stayed focused. So how did you get your start? I was DJ in Atlanta when I was in high school. I made a name for myself and I got hired for all the proms and parties. And my boy was doing some production work. He brought me in and showed me the ropes. Then I did the song Take It Home for Papa Pimp. You remember that one? Yeah, Mimi said. She heard it plenty. It was one of Lena's favorite songs on her Homemade Raps classic CD. That was my first song. I was only 19, and since then I worked with everybody from DMX to, well, lots of people. He said modestly. And you had Britney Spears up in this piece? Mimi questioned, looking back to look at the house and its chip and brown paint. She worked here, but she stayed at the Swiss in Atlanta. She's a pop princess, he said, giving Mimi a sidelong glance. So it was only right. Why are you making fun of me, Jim? What have I ever done to you? You show up here with your Louis Vuitton luggage dripping in ice, he said, visually cataloging all her jewels, complaining about everything and anything, and you expect me not to make fun? Mimi looked down at all her icy trinkets and she had to laugh at herself. The two little M's, barrettes holding her hair back, the Mimi necklace, the tennis bracelets, her frosty watch by Chris the Iceman Air, the diamond toe ring. It was a bit much with her juicy terry halter top dress and Chanel slides. At home, this overdone look had become her regular. She was expected to be ghetto fabulous glam at all times. Your fans want to see you looking your best, Lamont would say. Don't disappoint them. Okay, it's too much for the funk shack, Mimi admitted. But in New York, this is the look. Anyway, Lamont likes me like this. He likes me to dress up and do my hair and nails and get the whole Brazilian bikini thing. Jim glanced at her. Too much information. And so I do that. I like it. Is that so wrong? Man, Jim said, looking at her with such some amusement. Brittany's not as high maintenance as you. She pointed a charred chicken wing. She pointed a charred chicken wing at him. But let us keep in mind that Brittany didn't have to put her bare feet in that mildewed shower. Okay, Jim said, laughing. You're right. It is getting a little gutter around here. We had a lot of guests lately, and my cleaning lady went on vacation. I'll call and see if we can get her back here tomorrow. I'll tell her it's an emergency. Thank you, Mimi said, trying not to laugh. And speaking of ice, those are some big nuggets that you got in your ears. They're cubic zirconia, Jim said. I'm being ironic. She just stared at him. Ironic? And those are some pretty fancy fancy cars you have in your driveway. Only one of those is mine. Which one? The white Denali truck. It's not exactly a hoopty, she said. I buy it used off Buster. So you're cheap and proud of it, she said. I'm wise with my dough, he replied. But don't you ever want to just buy something nice just for the fun of it, just for yourself? She asked him as she slapped him on the arm. Damn near treat yourself, Jim. You deserve it. You're worth it. I know, he said dryly. And I do. I buy equipment and I buy video games. That's it? She asked him. Those video games aren't cheap. Suddenly, Alonzo's voice had came in booming through the trees. Yo, Mimi, your fucking dog pissed all over the rug in the game room. You really need to train this bitch. Bezo raced out of the trees, jumped up on Mimi's lap, and joyously licked her face. Wearing nothing but a long pair of broad board shorts, Alonzo trotted toward them. He picked up speed as he neared the end of the block, neared the end of the dock, and did a cannonball into the lake. Second later, his head bobbed up and climbed up on the dock's wooden ladder. We're about to play poker, he told Jim as he walked past Drippin'. You in? Nah, Jim said, and Alonzo kept ambling toward the house. Mimi stroked Bezo's glossy black fur and adjusted her plaid Burberry collar. Jim, she said wistfully, do you ever wish that you had gone to college? Not really, Jim said. Most people go to college to get a job. At 18, I already knew what I wanted to do, So I skipped that one. And you don't need to go to college to learn stuff. You're always learning in different ways. Life is a lesson every day. Oh gosh, what is a wise man to you? She gushed. What a wise man you are, she gushed sarcastically, getting back at him for his high maintenance comments. When do you have time to read all the books you have lying around here? I find time. I read a lot of books on finance because I don't just want my business manager to know what's going on with my money. I want to know. And I've read some interesting books about the different ways people relate to money. How you spend and what you buy says a lot about you. It's deep. If that's supposed to be another insult about my jewelry, she said, I didn't buy this stuff, so stop reading me so much about it. Ooh, heel girl, he said to Mimi, not Bezo. And they both laughed. But seriously, it's important when you're dealing with this type of money to be educated in what you're doing. People in this business don't care about you, they care what you can do for them. He nodded at Mimi, suspecting that that applied to her as well. You can borrow some of the books if you want to. No, thank you, she said. Lamont's got me covered. I have everything I need and then some, and everything I want. No doubt, Jim said. But you may still want to take a look at some of those books. I got some by Suze Orman over there. You might even like her. I said I'm straight, Mimi assured him. But I wonder what it be like to go to college. Not just for the education, but for the experience. I went out with my friend Jordan and her college roommate for a few weeks ago, and they had so many funny stories about things they did in school. It sounded like so much fun, and it made me think. I've never have done that. But you're going to have some other experiences that most girls would kill to have. And you're doing what you love, right? Yeah, she said very tentatively. But it's like this was my dream, and I'm so grateful that I'm getting to do this. So grateful. She stressed because she was afraid he was going to say she was complaining again. But sometimes it feels like I'm showing up just to do a job more than I'm fulfilling my dream. Well, at the end of the day, it is a job, but it is your dream job. Try and look at it that way. Maybe I'd be more in love with the process if I go write my own songs, she said glumly. And if I could have more say in what I'm doing. But it's all go here, say this, wear that, smile, sing the song we have written for you, and then go sit over there in the corner and be quiet until we need you again. Jim eyed her sympathetically. Is that how Lamont treats you? No, of course not, she said, regretting her words. She didn't want him to think she had been bad mouthing Lamont, and she wasn't. All Lamont wanted was for her to be successful. Lamont is amazing, the best. He's so supportive. But she trailed off. Yeah, I know. Your camp is about to make hits, not music. He put his hand out. She shook it, and he helped her up. Come on, I want you to hear something. They went back to the house and settled into the basement studio. It was like Jim's high tech bat cave. He played her a beautiful melodic track and explained, "This is a song I did a while ago, but I'm trying to work out the lyrics. I need to find the right singer for it. You want to use it for my album?" Mimi asked. Probably not, Jim said, handing her a piece of paper on which he had scratched out one verse. I don't think that this is what your label wants for you. But what are you giving it to me? What are you going to use it for? Someone else's album? A soundtrack? He grabbed hold of her shoulders and shook her. Listen up, Mimi. Loosen up, Mimi. I have no plans on making it commercially available, he smirked. It's just something I had in my head. You want to write songs? Help me write this one. Oh, okay, she said, feeling nervous all of a sudden. Jim walked around, lighting his scented candles. Then he pointed out at the fat chair at the end of the studio. Now go sit over there and be quiet until I need you again, he commanded, barely able to contain his laughter. Jim, she cried. Just kidding, he said, raising the volume on the track. He slid down next to her on the couch. Songwriting 101. Classes in session. Here we go. Chapter 40. Work it. Smile, Vanessa demanded, as the Sean John boys at the Sean John boys shoot, disoriented by the hot lights and the swarms of people coming running around. Pedro Miguel Antonio de la Cruz Jackson did just the opposite. Mama, he wailed, yanking his silky cornrows. Mama! Vanessa watched as the women her son was calling for swung into action. Oh. Vanessa watched as the woman her son was calling for swung into action. Get out, Vanessa, Mama Jackson commanded, scooping up her big crying big grandbaby. So Vanessa did. She grabbed the handles of her alligator Birkin bag and made tracks. She had another appointment away. Anyway, something important. After being appointed Mimi's image consultant, Vanessa had made it Vanessa had made it patently clear to Alice that no one would ever refer to her as a stylist. Too common. Alice had suggested stylist to the superstars, but Vanessa nixed that title for her new venture since it still contained the offensive word stylist. So a press release had gone out trumpeting her work as a celebrity image consultant, paving the way for the ultra glamorous business Vanessa was planning to launch. She decided to handle only the biggest names, which made it especially frustrating that her only client, Mimi, wasn't a big name. Lamont had introduced Vanessa to pick out all Mimi's outfits because he had said she needed to build a fashion profile for her. He noticed that some female celebrities, the ones that had smart, the ones who had smart people behind them, made news just by changing their hair. Having a defined sense of style ensured lots of press. Even when they didn't have a new album or a new movie out, they showed up in the right places wearing the right things or sometimes the wrong things. And snap, they were in the magazine. Vanessa was full of big concepts, but she didn't much fancy the detail work required to put it all together. For that, she had two meagerly paid assistants who borrowed, cataloged, and returned all manner of design from the designers. She could not be bothered running around doing pickups and drop offs. In Mimi's old living room, she set up two rolling racks of complete looks. Vanessa had organized them by category: day, night, casual, glam, casual, etc., and shoes, jewelry, and accessories were all bagged to go with each look. They'd been carted over to Lamont's penthouse from the mogul, and his princess had shackled up. Over to the mogul, and his princess had shackled up. Vanessa could see the expiration date on that union already. When Lamont had taken his new artist slash secret girlfriend to the Teen People event where Ridiculous was performing, Vanessa had put her in a custom made cavalli with diamond stud MS on each back pocket, a lace up basketball jersey with Mimi applied on the back in fall bling, and Manolo sneaker boots. Then she ghetto fabulous it out to adding got then she ghetto fabulous it out by adding tons of real diamond accessories. A hairstylist friend of Vanessa had created Mimi's messy couture cornrows. A big picture of her on the event ran in the Tribune the next day, and another appeared in the following issue of Teen People. Sheesh. Let me get a drink of water. Mm. Lamont felt things were coming along nicely. So did Vanessa. Turning Mimi into a fashion icon would help her image consulting company blast off into the stratosphere. Then, without warning, she was laid off as Mimi's image consultant. After she'd done all the work to get Mimi's notice, Lamont announced that she had decided to pull out the big guns for her album release. When Vanessa was out, Vogue style guru was in. Andre Leon Talley decreed, Bling Bling is dead. They were instead going boho chic with an edge. Mimi's hair was blonde now. Not ash blonde, not honey blonde, but blonde blonde. She wore it long and pinned straight with the part down in the middle. Vanessa did not give a flying fuck. She was still getting her checks. She signed a 1 year contract. Let's work for her. It was time for Vanessa to concentrate on Vanessa for a change. She ran into P. Diddy at Swirl and tried cozying up to him. She'd heard he was starting a women's line and she wanted to be in the ads. His exclusive contract model, Naomi, was posing for Rockaware now. Why shouldn't Vanessa get down with Sean John and give Naomi a run for her money? Their supermodel feud was legendary and long standing. Neither could remember who or what had started it. She wasted her whole night caressing the ego of his diddiness. Your skin is so dewy, Diddy. What is your skin care regimen? Have you tried Mario Badu? Are you it's some oh you must. Your rhymes are so magnificent, your empire so vast. Remember when you we tripped the light fantastic in Isra? It was the best night of my entire life, really. No one ever has moves like you, baby. And after she done had the snort of in the unisex bathroom, fuck J Lo. That puta could never deserved you. In regards to the Sean John campaign, she dropped subtle hints. Maybe the hints were too subtle because he never extended an offer. But the next day he called and said running into her had given him the idea of using Pedro in the boy shoot. She decided it was for the best that he didn't want her. Going from Karl Lagerfeld couture to hip hop streetwear was a reversal of fortune she might not be able to bear. Let Naomi slum it up with the rap trash. On the heels of the Diddy diss, she fangled herself a genuine, indisputive comeback opportunity. It was Fashion Week. She was going to be strutting down the catwalk at the Marc Jacobs show tomorrow morning at 9 in the tents or of Briar Park. But she had to prepare. Walk, bitch, shouted Royal Jenkins, the legendary walking coach. A statuesque jet black with pillowy pink lips, relaxed hair, pulled back in a chic ponytail, and blood red talons, calling him vicious was an understatement. From one end of his bare rehearsal space to the other, Vanessa high stepped back and forth in front of all the wall to wall mirrors. Right, left, right, left, right, left, dip the hip, position the left hand, dangle the right arm, halt, arc the back, pose, point, pout, toss the mane, and the piece de resistance, her signature turn at the end of the runway. It was called the De La Cruz. Royal had helped her craft it many, many moons ago. She decided her toes inside the 7-inch practice stilettos shifted her weight as she clenched them. 125 tonight, but after a colonic 121 by showtime tomorrow, and then landed in her unimitable twist. She nailed it. Royal didn't think so. He rushed over and grabbed her shoulders. Look, bitch, you haven't even been on the catwalk in 6 years. 1,000 top girls with better gaits than you have died 1,000 deaths in that time. You don't have Tyra's ass. You don't have Tyra's sass, and you don't have Caroline Murphy's sweetness and light. You don't have Emma White's insanely perfect body. Vanessa's eyes glazed over, and she was shamed as he named the 10 other things that she didn't have and all the other models did. Hear me now, he shouted directly into her face, his hot Altoids breath slapping her hard, his shrill voice echoing in the huge empty space. All you have is your walk. That's all you have. You have to work this out. Now walk, bitch. He hustled her back into her starting position. Royale is so wonderful, Vanessa thought. Where would I be without him? And she took it from the top. Right, left, right, left. Stomp, bitch, Royal screamed from the sidelines. Right, left. Get those shoes on the floor. Get those feet hitting hard. Dip the heel, position the left hand, dangle the right arm, halt. Royal lashed Royal lashed an 8-foot riding crop near her feet. Full stop. Arc the back. Pose, pout, toss the name. Easy there. And the De La Cruz. better. After its 6 grueling hours of practice, Royal allowed her a 3-minute break. She fell down on the stool and spent. What's the first rule of catwalking? Royal demanded. It's not about you, Vanessa answered. It's about the clothes. She'd always hated that rule. Yes, Royal said, putting an index finger to his plump pink lips. But this time, it is about you, isn't it? Always was, Vanessa thought. That's the problem, Royal said. The rules are being turned on their heads this time. You want everyone to notice you and only you. This is your comeback. This is the defining moment in your pathetic has been life. Vanessa hung on Royal's every word. Do you want it, Vanessa? Yes, Royal, I want it. He squirted. He squirted her in the face with the spray bottle of Evian. I thank you. I don't think you feel the energy. I want it, she shrieked, standing up. I want it, I want it, I want it. Sit, Royal said. You have another 45 seconds. He grabbed the remote control from the windowsill and pointed at the TV, the only item in the other room other than the stool and the boombox. A video began to play. It was the footage of an infamous stumble Naomi took in 1993 while walking the Vivian Westwood runway in a pair of sky high platforms. The 15-second clip repeated over and over on an endless loop, a catwalking cautionary tale. Don't let that be you, Royal warned. He looked at his stopwatch. Time's up. He pulled her up, another Evian spray. He shoved her back to the starting position. Now stop. Now stop half stepping and walk, bitch. By 8 o'clock in the next morning, Vanessa was so tired and sore that she could barely stand, let alone walk. But once she got out there on the Marc Jacobs runway in front of a packed house, music pumping, lights blazing, cameras rolling, she was utterly re-energized. She stepped out in her first look filled with a confidence she had never known since she was 19. Sitting front row, a few seats away from Diddy, she spotted Mimi in head to toe Marc Jacobs, squashed between Lamont and Andre Leon Talley, who looked like they were wearing the same suit. Alonzo was in Vegas. Right, left, right, left, dip the hip, position the hand, left hand, dangle the right arm, halt, arc the back, pose, pout, toss the name, and reaching the far end of the runway. The incessant click of the cameras was so intoxicating that she spontaneously decided to hold there for a few extra seconds before going into the De La Cruz. Click, click, click. You are beautiful, the camera.
Almost famous, we lost you. Somebody might have called her phone. Let's give her a hot second. The link in the chat, almost famous.
Hello?
Uh-huh. You back.
Oh, man.
Was getting in there good.
Yeah. Dang. Okay, so where was we at when she was walking down the runway? The end of the runway?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna just start back from right here. Reaching the far end of the runway, the incessant click of the cameras was so intoxicating that she spontaneously decided to stand there for a few extra seconds before going into her De La Cruz. Click, click, click. You're so beautiful, the cameras were saying. Click, click, click. You're so beautiful. That you'll never age. You're beyond gorgeous. You're amazing. You look better than Tyra. Click, click, click. You look better than Giselle. Click, click, click. And then she went in for the turn, and immediately, since it was disaster. Her legs got tangled, and before she knew it, she was off the runway. She opened her eyes and found herself looking up At the horrified faces of a flamboyant man in fashion, she fallen off the catwalk and landed right into Andre Leon Talley's enormous lap. Mimi leaned over, visibly shaken. Vanessa, are you all right? Diddy leaned forward, craned his neck, and examined the wreckage, blinking over the top of his shades. Lamont leaned back, cackling up a storm. Seated across the runway, Royal looked. The show continued uninterrupted. To everyone's surprise, the next day, Vanessa was on cloud nine. A picture of Andre Leon Talley, his mouth wide open in the horror while he cradled Vanessa in her arms like a toy poodle, appeared on the cover of the New York Tribune in color, and then in Women's Wear Daily, and in US Weekly, and as a full page in People's Stars track. What the hell did Royal know anyway? The bitch was back. And that's the end of chapter 40.
Okay. You see what Blessing Unbothered said? While
What they say.
she said Lamont is a mess and Mimi is in over her head.
She definitely is.
Hmm.
She
She's
is.
rare compared to a lot of them folks she hanging
Yeah.
around.
She's from Ohio.
Hmm.
Mm. She's from Ohio. So and he already done turned her out. Remember, they was like, oh, she's changed. Like she'd already changed. She walking around with these blings, all this stuff on, and she definitely a different person than when she left. And
Oh
you see,
yeah.
they ain't mentioned her homegirls again since she tried
No
to get her to come do the sing
background.
background. Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah, they ain't mentioned them again. They ain't mentioned her family or parents, nothing no more. Like,
Mm-mm.
yeah.
We will see. We almost we 15 about 15 chapters left in.
Yeah, we'll start with chapter 41 tomorrow and it goes to chapter what's this chapter? It goes to chapter 54.
Oh,
And
I
then
thought 55. Okay.
there's like a two-page epilogue and then there's like a two-page shout out page. So it's a couple extra page after that.
And
But we
Diddy,
almost done.
Diddy keep popping up on the scene.
I
R.
told you,
Kelly,
didn't I like
And
tease
this
it?
R. Kelly reference. Oh
Yeah,
my
yeah,
goodness.
yeah. Talk about what about R. Kelly? Can he produce her album? He was trying to get her got and knew
And
about
they
it.
did mention some golden showers.
Yeah, he said
Uh,
he should piss on her. He'll piss on her or something. That's what he thought when he said that shit. But yeah, this is getting really crazy.
Almost famous. Blessed and Unbothered said, "Thanks again for a great read."
Thank you. You're welcome. I appreciate it. And paraphrasing too really get you caught up too, because you be trying to think of, you know,
Other words to use and
thing.
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
But so far it's
They
been
was
real.
on point with the yes. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
They showed
And
stuff.
this whole chapter, the last chapter, they really talked about Sean John. They talked about
Hmm.
Sean John. They talked about Diddy. He done showed up like twice, and he
Hmm.
has a fashion show. And yeah,
And
real
I
weird.
wonder why they was kind of look like they dressed alike.
Yeah,
Him and
yeah.
old
Oh
boy.
yeah, him and yeah. They said they on the same
Mhm.
suit.
Right, right, right.
Andre Talley, whatever. I think he's a real guy. I think that's a real. I have an idea of who that is.
That's what I was about to say. I do too.
Yeah,
We gonna wait to
yeah.
the end and let everybody give who
You
we
can do
think.
some research. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll start all chatting and putting our input on that once we finish. But y'all, I gotta run. Thanks again, Almost Famous, for pulling up. Thanks everybody that pulled up over here. And when we finish this off, we gonna be finishing it off over here. So everybody make sure you hit that notification bell. And if you ain't subscribed over here, tap and subscribe to my backup.
All right. Peace. Bye,
All
everybody.
right. Everybody have a good day. I'll talk to y'all later.
Bye.
Bye bye.